Hello, this is Cathy Maretsky, and this is Coffee with Cathy. It's May 28th, 2020, and this is our number 4 in the series that I'm calling Twisted Thinking. We've been talking about how we can control our happiness when we're just in a really deep funk, or we've been feeling bad, or we've got overwhelming negative feelings. We can change the way we feel by changing the way we think. And so I have quotes for you to start with today. Here's the first quote. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. That's from Marcus Aurelius, the gladiator. But I love that quote, and it's so true. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. That shows us just how important it is to become more self-aware, to get in touch with what we're thinking and see how much it controls our feelings and our happiness level. The second quote is, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. And that's from Buddha. And there's a lot of wisdom there. It's true. We are what we think, and we make our own worlds in our minds. And so I hope that today will be helpful. Twisted thinking, again, it's thinking in inflexible, irrational way, an extreme way, thinking that's just not true, and that are unhealthy. Then we can have just an unhealthy way of thinking, an unhealthy lifestyle if we don't get in touch with that and learn to control that. And so these lessons are teaching us how to cognitively restructure our thoughts so that they are positive. The more we practice this, the more in control we will be, and the more we can control our feelings and control the words that come out of our mouths. So the first, there are 10 forms of twisted thinking, and we're on 7 and 8. 7 and 8. And so after this, we'll have one more lesson. And today, though, number 7 is the twisted thinking way of emotional reasoning. And this is where we assume that our negative emotions reflect the way things really are. Let me read that again. You assume that your negative emotions necessarily reflect the way things really are. So, for example, it's like me saying, I feel terrified about going on airplanes. Therefore, it must be really dangerous to fly. And here's another one. I feel guilty. So therefore, I must be a rotten person because I feel so guilty. I feel angry. Then that proves that I'm being treated unfairly because I feel so angry about this. Another one, I feel hopeless. So I must really be hopeless because I feel it. And the last one, I feel so inferior. So I must really be second rate or inferior. So, emotions are tricky. Emotions are feelings. They are the way we feel, our emotions, and they're tricky. So on the one hand, while we want to learn to trust our feelings, we teach kids this. Trust your gut, trust your feeling. If someone you're around makes you feel uncomfortable, If you get these butterflies in your stomach, if you start to feel fearful, trust your gut and get away. Stay away from that person. It's true for adults as well as children. You know, if we're feeling fear, if a situation or a person scares us and we start to feel fearful, trust that feeling and get away. If in the same way, if something just makes us, we just feel angry, there may be cause. There may be something that is being, is unjust or unfair. And so, we need to learn to trust our gut, our feelings, our instincts, that inner instinctiveness that we all have inside of us to protect ourselves. But on the other hand, our emotions can be so strong that they overpower our reason and our ability to think straight. And we can believe that because our emotions are so strong, therefore that they're right. They must be right because we feel it so strongly. So, this is true for the person experiencing those strong emotions. And it's also true for the people on the receiving end of those strong emotions. We can be overpowered by other people's anger or fear, and we even lose our ability to filter through the emotions to see to hear what they're saying. All we can feel or see are the strong emotions. So, the Bible addresses this in many places in the Old Testament and the New. Here are just a few. In Psalm 26, verse 2, it says, "Test me, O Lord, and try me. Examine my heart and my mind." So our hearts, our feelings are different from our minds, our thoughts. Proverbs 4:23, this is one of my favorites. It says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. That's like that quote I started with in the beginning. Above all else, guard your heart, guard your feelings, because from it springs our life. Proverbs 16:23, a wise man's heart guides his mouth. His lips promote instruction. So if we are wise, if our thinking is wise and on straight and clear, that's going to guide our mouths and what we say. Proverbs 20, verse 9, who can say, I've kept my heart pure, unclean, and without sin? Who can say that? None of us can. Because our hearts are, it's hard. There are feelings. They're all over the place so often. And Ecclesiastes 5, verse 2, do not be quick with your mouth. Do not be hasty in your heart to utter anything before God. So, so much wisdom from the Bible about our minds, our hearts, our speech. Ecclesiastes 11:10 says, banish anxiety from your heart. When we are feeling anxious, when we are feeling anger, anxious thoughts and words are going to come out of our mouths. Angry words are going to come out of our mouths when we are feeling it. And Jeremiah 17:9, this is a very popular verse. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? I, the Lord, search the heart and examine the mind to reward a man according to his conduct, according to what his deeds deserve. And so you can see that a good Bible study would be to go through all these scriptures in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and rather than heart, insert the word feelings. And you see there is a distinction between between the mind and thoughts and the heart and feelings. And we need to learn to distinguish between the two. Feelings and thoughts aren't the same. And, we can see there's such a challenge when it comes to self awareness, because if we don't take the time to listen to listen to what we're saying, hear ourselves, if we don't identify our feelings and get in touch with what is going on inside of us, we are our hearts are deceitful above all things. And so, that the lesson for us is that we really need to practice this. And, people are different. We are all very, very different from each other. And some people are highly emotional. We're all products of our environment, the way we were raised. Our moms, our dads, we tend to be either just like our parents, either one or the other or both, or we tend to be trying to be the opposite of our parents. But we are all products of our environment. Some of us are very in touch with our feelings because we come from families that expressed their feelings and taught us to identify our feelings and talk about our feelings. I find that to be rare, though. I know for myself, I come from a family where we did not discuss our feelings. We were kind of shut down. We're kind of stoic. I personally, strong emotion uh, just sends me into a tailspin because I'm not used to strong emotion. I come from a family where we were just shut down. And so, we need to learn to identify our feelings. What is going on? The top 4 emotions are happiness, sadness, fear, or anger. All other emotions are variables of those top 4. And so try to ask yourself, what you're feeling. The bottom line is, don't be ruled by your emotions. We can't live by our feelings, okay? And when we're feeling very, very emotional, what do we need to do? We've just got to learn to calm down. Calm down. You see those advertisements, they're on TV now. They're on our phones. You just see this little, maybe the raindrops in the forest, some calm image in the background, and you see, take a deep breath and hold, go around, the dial goes around for 30 seconds, just calm down. That's so good. And so true. We just need to calm down so that our brains can think clearly. When we're very emotional, our brains cannot work properly. The amygdala in the back, the stem of our brains takes over, and we get into fight or flight mode. Our adrenaline rushes through our body when we're highly emotional. We just don't think straight or rationally. And so we've got to learn to calm down and give each other space. Some people need time to process their feelings, to calm down from their highly emotional state. We need to take deep breaths, go for walks, just even taking one deep breath just already starts to lower our heart rate and our pulse. And so we just need to respect each other and give each other the time, and don't think that everyone is like you in the way that you need to calm down. Everyone is different, and we need to respect each other. So don't feel like they should be like you. Which leads to our next form of twisted thinking, and that is should statements. And this is when, you tell yourself that that things should be the way you hoped or you wanted or you expected them to be. Here's an example. After playing a very difficult piece on the piano, a gifted pianist told herself, I shouldn't have made so many mistakes. I shouldn't have. And so this made her feel so disgusted that she quit practicing for several days, which is not productive. And so when we tell each other, I must, I ought to, I should, I have to, we all have similar reactions to this. And we can direct these should statements towards ourselves. And those kind of statements to ourselves only lead to guilty feelings and frustration. They are not productive. They're not helpful. And so here's an example. When we tell ourselves, I should have done better, we can flip that and rather think, I would have preferred to do better. I wish I would have done better, but I did what I could at the time. There you go. So let's learn to not, say to ourselves, I should have done better, but rather, I did what I could at the time. Here's another one. When we say, this should be easier, we can tell ourselves instead, I wish this was easier. But often things are not easy. And there's no pain, no gain. So there's a subtle difference, but it makes a huge difference in the way it makes you feel, these statements. Now, here's one last one when we turn it on ourselves. Maybe sometimes you say to yourselves, I am a failure. You can just imagine the guilt, the frustration that you feel when you tell yourself that. Rather, we can just say, I'm a person, I'm a human being who sometimes fails. There's a big difference in the way these statements make us feel. And so should statements we can direct them to ourselves, but we can also direct them to other people or to just the world in general. And, if you find that you're feeling angry and frustrated a lot, check your thinking, because maybe you're having a lot of should statements going on in your head. Maybe here's an example. He shouldn't be so stubborn and argumentative. Okay? Instead of that, we can think, I wish he weren't stubborn, but I can put up with what I don't like. I can. We can all put up with what we don't like. We wish people weren't this way or that way, but we can put up with it. We can be tolerant. How about this one? I need him or I need her to do it. You can just feel the frustration that's going to come from that. And rather than saying that, we can say, I want, I desire, I prefer him to do that, or I prefer her to do this, but I don't have to have what I want. We just need to take a deep breath and say, I don't have to have my way all the time. And so, many people try to motivate themselves with shoulds or shouldn'ts, as if we were little children or delinquents who have to be punished, before we can be expected to do anything. I shouldn't eat that donut. But those kind of motivational statements to ourselves really do not work. They make us feel guilty. They make us feel frustrated. And those kind of feelings lead to rebellion. And we just have the urge to do it anyway and to rebel and to do just the opposite. And so, in closing, these are the two twisted thinking examples. Should statements and the emotional reasoning. And so I want to encourage you to examine your thoughts, examine your feelings. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling negative, just take some time and review what are the steps to changing my irrational beliefs. Number one, recognize the irrational belief. Take some time. Remember to journal, write down your thoughts, especially if you have recurring thoughts and you've been feeling bad for all day or a few days in a row. Write that down. Recognize the irrational belief. And number two, make a decision. Do you want to change this behavior? When we can all decide, should I continue this way or should I change my behavior? If you really think about it, then it will add conviction and impetus to your decision to change. Number three, figure out a more rational belief to substitute, okay? Especially get rid of those shoulds statements and those musts, or I have to do this, or I need to. Number four, act in light of a new rational belief. Put that new rational belief into practice. And lastly, number five, continue to act in that new rational belief. This just takes practice, changing the way we live and the way we think, the way we feel. It takes practice, but we will change as we gain self-awareness. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a really great weekend and rest of the week. All right. Bye.